Joining us now, journalist and former press secretary for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Yulia Mendel. Yulia, in a new piece for the Washington Post, you discuss seeing your hometown of Kherson invaded by Russian forces, and you write in part, quote, "The Russians are now occupying my hometown, and also, it seems, my memories. The mall where we shopped is a smoldering ruin." Another video showed corpses in the park where I used to go as a kid with my mother and my class to feed the swans. As local officials warn of an impending humanitarian catastrophe, I receive videos and messages from relatives and friends. They tell me the Russians shot at apartment buildings, homes, a school. I'm overwhelmed, helpless. I'm in the west of the country, unable to send money, food, anything. I close my eyes and I see and feel the city. My father walking me to school. My mother buying me the tastiest pastry tarts in the world. I had promised my parents that I would come to Kherson soon so that they meet my boyfriend, now fiancé. I wanted him to also taste the tarts. Now I have no idea if they were ever meet in person. I'm so sad for you. I'm so sorry. Can you tell us what else you're hearing about your hometown, about the situation?
I'm sorry. It's very difficult for me when you read these lines, because I was crying all the time while I was writing it. The connection with my hometown is bad right now, and it's very difficult to get in touch with my parents or my relatives. Russia tries to switch off connection immediately when it enters the city and has all the, accesses to different parts of the city and different infrastructure. And of course, one of the first things that it tries to do is to put the Russian TV. So what they tried to do, the latest, they banned fully the humanitarian aid, and I'm always in touch with the mayor of the city when there is a connection, and with my parents and relatives, and they say that already they see food shortages, and of course there is no enough medicine. The ATMs are absolutely empty, and Russia brought its own Russian humanitarian aid from Crimea, and Ukrainians just denied taking this aid because they said that they are waiting for Ukrainian aid. We are having protests. This is the third day when I'm very, very proud of my city. They're having these flags. They even took over one of the APCs. They took over one of the military cars where military servicemen from Russia came, and they put the Ukrainian flag and ran on the major street of Kherson. So I'm very proud, but at the same time, it's heartbreaking because I understand how difficult it is for people there, and they do not know what's going to happen next. There is a lot of ruined infrastructure. There are dead bodies, and this is my mom. I see my mom right now on TV. She went to support Ukraine there, so I worry about them. I'm trying to connect when there is some connection, and we are just waiting, praying, and hoping that Ukrainian city of Kherson and region will be Ukrainian again, with all the accesses and all necessary things and food and humanitarian aid to help people live happily and build further Ukrainian future.
As the residents there desperately hold on tight, what are you hearing about any possibility of aid, Ukrainian aid, getting there?
So we are trying really hard. Ukrainian government is trying really hard to get access to different territories in Ukraine where there is this humanitarian crisis. It's not only about Kherson. There are different other cities, like, for instance, small towns which are fully smashed by Russian servicemen in Kyiv region, or, for instance, Kyiv towns in the east of the country. So today there is the third round of negotiations between Ukrainian and Russian side, and the smallest thing that Ukrainian side is asking to provide opportunity for humanitarian corridors. But for you to understand, back in 2015, we had this one of the biggest tragedies of Ukrainian independent Ukraine. Actually, when Russians promised Ukrainian army that they surrounded to allow to get away from the battlefield through Green Corridor, and then they turned this blue corridor into a corridor of death, bloody corridor. They killed hundreds and hundreds of Ukrainians there. So that's what we are afraid, and that's what we see right now when they say that they allow this Green Corridor and people, civilians, try to get out of the town. They start shooting, and of course, this is a very difficult situation. So the negotiations are starting like in 30 minutes, I guess, and we hope and pray that this can work out. But also the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, tries to reach President Vladimir Putin. He believes that if there is some conversation, he can find the understanding and he can stop this violence. And up to now, we see that Putin is unstoppable and he doesn't want to have any kind of dialogue.
Yulia, your mother must be very brave. She's still out there demonstrating in the streets. You said that the Russians have blocked Ukrainian television channels from being shown in Kherson. How much information are people in the city getting? How aware are they of what's happening around the country?
This is a very good question, but Ukraine was first invaded by Russia brutally in 2014, and then we met this huge wave of disinformation. Since then, Ukrainian government did really a lot to explain people this necessity of verifying sources of information. Right now, my mother was proud to show me the SMS that she got from Ukrainian government with the link on internet for those who have Wi-Fi, that they can still find access to Ukrainian channels through this link on the internet. And they're very happy to have it. Sometimes I'm sending some news from internet, but it depends on, the parts of Kherson and responsibility of people. But definitely Russian propaganda is the weapon that is very difficult to fight. Thanks God, Ukrainians know what is disinformation for 8 years already, and they try to figure out the real sources. So I'm in touch with many people from there trying to verify them information, and in many ways it helps them just to provide them hope and to say that this is wrong and that the army of Ukraine is trying to do everything to save you and to recapture the city. There is a huge belief that Ukrainian army will come and recapture the city. There are Ukrainians there, there is no Nazism there, and there is a huge power for democracy and for independence of our country.
All right, Yulia Mendel, thank you. We're praying for you. Yulia is a journalist, former press secretary for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and her powerful new piece is in the Washington Post.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.